I'm gonna go milk minotaur dicks. Eventually, it's gonna happen. We're going to the farm, girls.
Yeehaw!
And welcome back to another episode of Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seth.
And today we have a very special guest, our very first guest on the podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is G, or Gabby, and I'm so excited to be here today.
Hi, G.
Hey, G. We're excited you're here with us today.
G is the fourth lady in our quartet. She's also an avid reader. Yes, we're a quartet, okay?
I feel very, historical, like the wallflowers, the quartet, I just feel
yes, we're refined. We're very refined over here. So she's an avid reader. She also has a small business. Would you like to talk about that? Don't be shy. We self-promo all the time on the podcast. It's fine.
I run a small business with my boyfriend. It's a fandom-based small business, small shop. We do a lot of apparel and accessories that are around, Disney, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, a lot of bookish stuff. So if you want to check us out, we're on Instagram and our shop is Within the Magic. You can find us at withinthemagic.com and on Instagram under Within the Magic.
There you go. Support small businesses that are run with passion and love. Because that's what G is about. Before we start, can I just say that unfortunately, G, you're not the most important person here today because we actually have a celebrity in the house. No, it's not you, Seth. I'm sorry. Your day is not today. We have a celebrity in the house today because our very own S got a follow from Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton.
Excuse me, S. You're famous now. How does it feel?
Yes. Thank you. It feels incredible. Me and Paris Hilton are best friends now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It feels great. Yes, so I started watching her Netflix show, Cooking with Paris, and I tweeted saying something like, I'm obsessed with the show. And this was 3 days ago. And she retweeted and she ended up following me. Yeah, so I was just like, wait a minute, am I seeing correctly that she freaking followed me? So I sent it to the girls and Seth, I was like, is this real? And yeah, sure enough, she
and
followed
I freaked
me.
out last night. And
yeah.
then we were talking to a celebrity, guys.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you had time out of you had time for us today.
Stop.
No, I mean, S, I could not be happier for you. I'm so excited to see you on the 2021 reboot of Paris Hilton's My New Best Friend on MTV, streaming right now. Yeah. Do you guys remember that show? It was a wreck.
I just remember, is it Simple, what is it? Simple Lives? Simple Rules? What was the show she did with Nicole?
I think The Simple Life.
Simple Life, yeah. Oh my
gosh, I mean, she did have
show.
a show where she was literally trying to find her next best friend through reality TV. So that's why I'm saying, I'm so excited for you to go on that show. Clearly, it was your audition, and you passed.
You passed with flying colors.
Thank you. It's crazy. I know.
Speaking of shows and things we love, today is a catch-up and chill episode, which means we are dishing out all the dirt on the things that we love at the moment. We're talking about books, TV shows, movies. So it's time to get your TBR ready because it's about to get wild. All right. Who wants to start?
Cricket.
That is the question every week that nobody wants to answer.
You know what? I'll go first because I feel like
God,
I never go first.
Yes.
And I'm taking initiative today.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Proud of you. Proud of you.
All right. Okay, so my first mention is a book, and it's Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I'm probably butchering the last name. I'm sorry. But this is like a sports romance where the main guy is her coach. And it starts off with Olivia meeting her new track coach, which is the main guy, Will, at her new college. And she's known for having anger issues and random bouts of, she fights a lot of people. She has a bad rap. Because of it. And so Will doesn't think she's worth training at all, but will do whatever it takes because he needs the money. His father had died, and so he's the only one taking care of the farm with his mother, and then his brother is off in college. And so he feels like it's his duty to take care of his family. And then we find out early on that the main girl, Olivia, has had really bad nightmares, and to the point where because of her nightmares, she is found sleep running, so she runs in her sleep. That means no shoes, not even her phone with her, and she just runs for miles and miles, and she doesn't even know where she is, like, some days. And so Will obviously doesn't know this side of her, and whenever she comes to practice right after those nightmares, she's obviously in pain, and, like, she's overworked, and so she doesn't perform as she usually does for her track meets and things like that. So he decides to, like, it gets to the point where he kind of, like, kicks her off the team, and then she kind of tells him finally that I actually sleep run. And then, so the story kind of starts there with them. And, yeah, they're both attracted to one another, but because he's her coach, it's obviously not allowed for them to have any sort of, like, romantic relationship. But he takes her under his wing, and, like, his mother also gets involved, and, like, they help her overcome her traumas and things like that. What else can I say about it? She's just an immensely tortured soul, and I like the difference where, like, you see the woman who's, like, in that position instead of the male. Yes. And it just rounds out to be an amazing read. So, like, if you're into sports romance between a coach and an athlete, then this one's for you. And there's also, like, a mystery aspect to it as well with her past and, like, her remembering her childhood. And so, yeah, it was a really good read.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the next person? I can go. I'll take this one. Okay, so the first books with an S on my list.
You and the constant cheating and breaking the rules and bending them to your own will.
I mean, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. You break
You
the rules
too,
all the
Sam.
time.
Yeah.
Me?
You do. I think you do it more than all of us. Yeah.
Anyways, so it is The Bridge Kingdom and the Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen, a fellow Canadian. Gotta support.
Whoop, whoop.
So this is a fantasy romance with enemies to lovers, also arranged marriage. So premise of the story is you have this king of Maradrina who's essentially like a power-hungry psychopath who is trying to gain power over the Bridge Kingdom. And the Bridge Kingdom is essentially like a very small country that is sort of like in the middle of the ocean. And you have this really, really, really long bridge with this very small country called Ithacana. Essentially, the entirety of the money that this small country makes, like their resources and everything, comes from this bridge, having control over this bridge, because boats can't go around the bridge because the sea that surrounds it is like treacherous. So like it is way too dangerous. You have to go through this bridge, which is actually more of like a tunnel. So like you go through the bridge and not over. And this king is trying to regain power over this bridge because he understands the fortune that is to be made through it. But 15 years prior to the beginning of this book, the kingdom of Ithacana and this king of Maradrina, they were at war, and they made like a peace treaty, which was that essentially, eventually the prince, one of the king's daughters would marry the heir apparent or like crowned prince of Ithacana. And the prince in question is now king. He's all grown up. He's all hot. And he's like, all right, where's my bride? Jump to Lara, who is one of the daughters of this cruel king, who essentially has a harem. So he's got like 20 wives. All the wives have kids. He's got like a bajillion kids under his name. Anyways, and he's got 10 daughters who, at the age of 5, well, they grew up in the harem, but then at the age of 5, they were all ripped away from their mothers and sent to the desert to learn how to be a proper wife. However, the twist on that is that a proper wife for this cruel king is more or less becoming a murderer, an assassin. And so his plan is to send the one daughter who he chooses, and to send her to the king, Aaron, who then will marry, and then she's supposed to like spy for him and kill him eventually. Lara is not the chosen one, but she's like, I'll make myself the chosen one. So she, and this is not really a spoiler, the book literally opens like that, she kills off her sisters. Or does she? And she makes her way to Aaron. Marriage happens. And slowly, I mean, romance starts to bloom. Alliances are questioned. And Lara sort of starts realizing and asking herself, am I the hero or am I the villain in this story?
Ooh!
So Steph is currently reading this book.
Yes,
G
I
read
am.
both books. I freaking loved them. First book was really good, but like second book is where it's at for me. Like the whole second book. And again, I cannot say anything about the second book because the co-hosts have not read it yet. But it was so good. Like literally the action does not let up until the end. Like it's just constant action. So good. So much angst. So much pain. Betrayal. Yeah. So definitely put this one on your list if you like fantasy romance. If you like Sarah J. Maas type of fantasy, I feel like this is on par, though it's like its own thing, obviously, but you know, because there's a little bit of steam in these books, a little bit. It's adult. It's definitely adult. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's not YA. So yeah. Do you want to say anything about it?
I loved this book. I could not have read them at a better time. It's just, it takes you, like it grabs you right from the beginning because as M said, it starts off with a bang and you're like, holy crap, what's happening? Which I love that about the book. It's just, it's different. I've, believe it or not, have never read a book with betrayal already like coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That it's kind of looming over the plot for the whole book, and like you know it has to come.
It's coming.
Inevitable.
Yeah. And I remember like getting closer and closer and closer, and I was like, oh my god, like you could feel it coming. But I don't want to say too much because again, the girls haven't, two of them haven't read it, so I don't want to spoil too much, but like I really just was on the edge of my seat for both books, and I can't wait to read the third one because I'm super interested to see where that one is going.
Yeah, and G told me that while she was reading the first one, she was reading other things, but then when she started the second one, she had to drop everything and just focus on the second book.
Thank you for bringing that up. Bridge Kingdom was actually like my secondary book for when I was like driving because I did them on audio, so I like to listen to books while I'm driving and stuff like that. So it was just like, oh, when I hop in the car, let me just put on the audiobook. It wasn't my main read, but I literally dropped everything else when I started when it, you know, picked up and got really, really good. I was like, yeah, no, forget it. And I finished those two books, I think, in record time for myself.
And would you recommend the audiobooks?
Oh, I loved the audiobooks. So the male narrator, I forget his name right now, but he's very well known. I've heard his voice before. And funny enough, after reading Bridge Kingdom, I listened to another audiobook and it was the same author, and it made me like the book more than the other book I was reading with the same narrator, because I was like, this is like my comfort narrator.
Oh, I have one of those too. Yeah, I have a few.
That's good. I'm excited because like I'm about 35% in the first book, and I honestly understand when you girls are saying like it's keeping you at the edge of your seat, like you just want to keep going, because honestly it's just like it's consuming my mind, and it's like honestly like what you guys are saying about the betrayal looming, it's like, you know, like it's like she's setting things up, and like the way she works things out, you're like, okay, so like everything is like thought out for her. Everything is like carefully placed, and like Lara is really, she's an intriguing character so far.
And if you haven't guessed it already, from all of us basically reading the same book, you can expect, hopefully, an episode on the Bridge Kingdom and the Traitor Queen sometime in your future. We'll probably do like a joint thing, and Gabby can join us for that too.
Yay!
This is your official invitation.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Speaking of you, do you want to go next? Do you want me to put you on a spot like that?
Yeah. I work great under pressure, so let's do
I feel like this isn't a job interview.
I got my notes.
Ooh, they're color-coded.
So the book I'm gonna start off with is called Feral by Nora Ash. It's
Ooh.
an Omega verse.
Yes.
I listened to the audio, and if you guys have the chance to just sample the audio just for the male narrator's voice,
Yeah.
oh my god. Oh my god. So I have to preface this a little bit by saying that before Feral, I want to say in a 2-year long book funk, like slump. I did not read very much for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first book that I picked up, and it got me back. Like, I've got my mojo back. I've been able to read about a book a week after this. So it is an Omega verse. The heroine is was hired as a biological analyst at this government facility. She doesn't really know exactly what she's going to be doing, but when she gets there, she finds out that it is the government's top secret like new project that they're doing, and they want to they want to create feral alphas and make them into super soldiers.
Sounds like a good plan if you ask me. How about we get on with doing that for reals?
So it's basically just this big laboratory with a bunch of feral alphas locked up in cages, and the heroine obviously is an Omega. So she's been working there. She's like at her first week. She has to go into like the cage area to like collect some data, and she has like this connection with the big bad powerful alpha, and his number is 394. He doesn't have a name, it's just 394. So he's kept at a feral state his whole time that he's there, but when she comes up to the cage, they create a connection, and she's like, oh my god, what is this? Fast forward, she's there for a little bit while longer, and she decides she doesn't like the way that the alphas are being treated because they're not being treated very nicely. They're being treated like lab rats, and she decides to break him out of his cage. This is in the very beginning of the book, so as you can imagine, it just kind of goes downhill from there. And she gets caught, and her boss, who is this like world-renowned scientist, says you have two options. I'll either report you and you go to jail, or you become the Omega we use for this experiment.
Only for this this alpha though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really dark read. There are some things in here that might be triggering to some people. But it was really, really good. And I liked that although the experiment's purpose was to force mating so that they can keep the alphas feral, um, they had already that connection. So you kind of know that they're real mates. But yeah, it was really, really good. I loved the dual narration. Um, and you just kind of see him come out of this super feral state 24/7, and she kind of like nurtures him back, like, yes, what they're doing to you is wrong, but it's okay. It was really, really good, and it's a series. Like, it's a long series because if I'm not mistaken, most of the alphas that were kept in that experiment get a book.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
I only read sorry G, I actually read the first 3, which is that follows the couple. I think it's a serial, right? So like they're pretty short books.
Yeah.
I read those, and then I didn't know that the other guys got books.
So if I'm not mistaken, I feel like his friend, I forgot his name, gets a book. So yeah, it was really cute. Well, the ending
How
kind of was cute.
here's the important question. How filthy was it?
Oh, it was good.
It was good.
Yeah, I picked it up because I wanted smut. I wanted to read some good smut, and it delivered.
Yeah, it is smutty. Seth, would you agree that it in the beginning when they're in that lab, it's kind of there's some things that happen. They don't actually happen, but they're threatened, and it's like, oh my god, like is that actually gonna like are they really gonna go through
Yeah.
with it?
No,
But
I agree.
I think the author wrote it in a way where it's menacing, like what could happen, but she twists
Yeah.
it in a way that it's like, oh, I'm so glad it didn't happen.
Yeah. I will say though, like, go into this book knowing that there are dark themes and like some things may not be consensual despite maybe the circumstances making it look like it's consensual. But overall, if you're looking for a smutty read that has like a good romantic payoff, then I would say this one could be it for you.
All right. Yes. What's on your list?
So for me, my first book is Broken Bonds by Bree. It's the first book in the Bonds That Tie series. It is a reverse harem PNR that follows the story of Oleander, where at the age of 14, her and her parents, which is her mom and her 3 bonds, they're in a car accident and the parents don't make it.
Aww.
So in this world, they have bonds, which are basically fated mates. And our girl, Oleander, she has 5 bonds, which are North, Knox, Griffin, Atlas, and Gabe.
Wait, pause. Can I just say that with both G and S here today, you're gonna, if you like reverse harems, you're gonna get all.
This
the rest.
is the episode for you.
So be prepared for that. Okay, resuming.
Okay, so after the car accident, something happens which leads the heroine to run away from her bonds. And her running away from your bonds, like that's not something that people do. Like that is like it's a big no-no, and it caused an embarrassment for her bonds. But there's a reason why she ran away. Like she has like a good reason. So she's on the run for 5 years until she's captured by a tactical response team, and her bonds are alerted that they have her held. And you would think that her bonds would be happy that she's been found, and
But they're holding a
like,
grudge.
a big fucking grudge. Like,
Because she ran away?
Because she ran away and embarrassed them, like in their community. Like that's like, it's no, you don't do that. So they are freaking assholes to her, like
Big time.
yeah, they're really. So I want to say like this is considered like a bully romance, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So so they go out of their way to make her life a living hell, and I feel like they put her like through so much, but I freaking loved it. I love me my mean heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love asshole heroes. I don't know if this is considered a spoiler, but is there a grovel? Like a good grovel?
That's what I'm hoping. At the end of this book, no, I don't want to say no.
Okay, so it's not a standalone. There is more to come.
No, it's
Oh.
going to be part of a series.
Okay.
So I'm hoping there's like good grovel, because these assholes, like I want them to freaking crawl on broken glass,
Yes.
through fire,
Yes.
to ask for fucking forgiveness,
Yes.
to win me over again, you know?
I feel like you said this about that other book. You just like want all your men to crawl on broken glass.
Yes.
That's the best,
Yes.
especially after the way they treated her. They need to grovel big time because, yes, but she ran away, and yes, in their society, it is an embarrassment. But she was young and she was scared and had no idea these 5 men were gonna be with her for the rest of her life. And as said, they're not nice men. Yeah, no, they need to grow. 100%.
Are you going to read the second book, G?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually remember texting S, and I was like, because I do like a good asshole, but I draw the
Yeah.
line at like straight bullying. Like I
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
it's not my thing. And these guys were just straight up bullying her. It takes place in like college, and I remember, one of her bonds is her teacher, and he would just
Ooh. You should have said that in the first sentence.
and he he embarrassed her in front of the whole class more than once.
Does everyone know they're bonded?
Yes.
Ooh, oh my god. Wait, am I gonna read a reverse harem?
I know, right? Like, I want to read this.
My
I want to read the
reverse
one
harem.
where they had, like, a male Omega, and then they're passing her over. Like, S and her recommendations for reverse harem.
For fuck's sake, it's gonna happen eventually. I don't think we can. I don't think we can resist that long, Seth. We're gonna read a reverse harem eventually.
It sounds so good.
So it ends in a cliffhanger. The second book is set to release in September. And then the cover for the first book is like so pretty.
Yes.
So take a look at that. See if it entices you to pick it up.
Oh, I want to see it. What's the book called again?
Broken Bonds.
By Bree.
Wait, can we talk about, without spoiling it, which one was your favorite, S?
It was Atlas for sure. Because there is a bond that's really nice that he just kind of, he's not like the other guys. So Atlas for sure. Griffin won me over. Like, there's this scene. There's this, I don't know if, should I talk about it? Or do you think that's like a spoiler?
I don't think it's a spoiler.
No? So there's this scene where she has her period and she has really bad cramps. And,
do they leave her there in pain?
no, so Griffin comes over and he notices that she's uncomfortable and like he gets in bed with her and he puts his hand. So everybody in this world has some type of power. So he gets in bed with her and he puts his hand on her stomach and he relieves her pain, her period pain.
Because isn't he a flame? Like, isn't his power like flame, fire?
I think so.
So his hand heats up like a heating pad.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Like a hot
So he
bottle.
takes away her pain and I loved it. I loved it.
Like, it wasn't the groveling I wanted, but that was a good start.
He tried in his own like grumpy way. Like he tried with her.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, and it might be spoilers, so maybe don't include this, but do the guys feel bad about what's going on with her, or like what they've done to her yet, or no?
Maybe by the end, because a lot of shit happens at the end where they kind of
understand why she is the way that she is a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so I might have already just added it to my TBR.
It's not the first reverse harem you add to your TBR, though.
No, it wasn't, actually. I added the other one that you were also talking about, S, the last Ketchup and Shell.
No, it was during our...
Dark Lover?
It was the Dark Lover episode, yes.
Oh, Dark Lover. Okay.
In case this is not obvious enough already, it's gonna be a long episode, probably, so I hope you grab yourself a snack, some popcorn. It's time to clean the whole house.
That's
it's time to go for a walk.
Oh my god.
A long drive.
Listen to us on your treadmill.
We've been so good at having shorter episodes, but then this one just comes and like hits everyone in the face.
Right, Steph.
All right, so I'm going to switch things up a bit, and I'm going to go with a TV show.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be talking about Loki, which if you're a Marvel person, you know, you might have already watched it or might be thinking of watching it. So Loki, right off the bat, he was always one of my favorite characters, so I was really excited for him to get a TV show.
A good anti-hero.
Oh, yes. Love it. So this show takes place after the last Avengers film, and so, like, if you watched it, you kind of know where his character was at that point. And then, so apparently his character had caused, like, a rift in the timeline, and he gets captured by the TVA, which is the Time Variance Authority. And so they monitor the timeline and make sure nothing's out of the ordinary happens, and so, like, him existing and still, like, kind of doing his own thing is causing a rift in the timeline, so they kind of had to capture him. But he ends up deciding to work with them when he discovers that a variant of himself, so like, I guess another version of himself in another parallel world, was causing issues and killing the agents of the TVA. So he decides that he's going to help them out with that, and then he ends up meeting that person, and it's a female variant of himself named Sylvie. And each Loki has like a glorious purpose, and his is basically... It was basically to rule and, like, just to be king. That's what he thought it was. And her glorious purpose, Sylvie's, is to destroy the TVA because they've wronged her so much in the past. And so Loki decides to help her. And it kind of starts from there. And we see his growth of a character. We see him go through trials and, like, go through hardships with Sylvie. And then you see, like, different sides of him as well. And, like, we see him be vulnerable for once. I feel like he's always a character that, like, whenever there's a situation where, like, emotions are involved, he kind of, like, switches to humor or, like, switches to like hurting someone or something, and he never really delved deep inside. And I feel like this show did a really good job of like showing his character and showing like his inner struggles. And I just feel like it was like a great metaphor for, like, I don't want to spoil it, but like there's just great metaphors in this show in terms of like yourself and like loving oneself. And I thought that was really important. And I just can't wait for season 2.
Are you guys silkies?
Oh yeah, I am. 100%. Easily.
G is shaking her head no.
I know she isn't a silky.
It's just I didn't feel. Now, hold on, pause. Let me say I had a very different opinion of the show, so I did not watch it religiously. Being a very pop culture Marvel fan, I obviously wanted to know about it. My boyfriend Peter watched it religiously every Wednesday, so I would get like the Cliff Notes version of what was happening from him. So I will say maybe my opinion is incorrect because I didn't watch the whole thing. I'm not a huge shipper. I do love Loki though. I've always loved him. I mean, he's an anti-hero and he's just a great character in like all round, like an all around character. He's great. And I will say this show, if you're a Marvel fan, this show just bursted open the doors for so many different possibilities.
Oh yeah.
Phase 4 of Marvel, which is like the next phase post Avengers that's coming, is gonna be incredible, and I really can't wait for that.
It's gonna be epic. And I honestly, I don't think we're getting season 2 anytime soon. I feel like we have to have 2 movies, which would be Doctor Strange 2, and then also Spider-Man 3. I feel like we need to look at those movies first before we even like discuss a season 2 because of everything that's happened at the end of the show and then leading up to what's going on later. But like, yes, I'm a Silky. I love them unapologetically. I just love them, and I just feel like since we delved into that, I just feel like it was such a big metaphor of like loving oneself because he does fall in love with a version of himself in another timeline. And yeah, I just feel like he's a character that's always never felt good enough or who always measured himself up to Thor and like was constantly trying to prove himself. But like he finally decides to open up with someone and like it so happens to be a version of himself and like he starts being vulnerable and loving someone else. And like imagine finding that person to love them and like finding things to love about themselves and like I don't know, I just liked him and like Sylvie. I was gonna say Silky, but I just love their dynamic and I loved where they're going and I don't know, I just love them and they're great.
I haven't seen the show, but I kind of like the thing of like because we talk about how like love makes you vulnerable, like it forces you to be vulnerable to someone else. But in this case, it's kind of even deeper because he's actually being vulnerable with himself, a version of himself. So it's even deeper than that because he's really analyzing what he's going through and his own feelings with himself, you know?
Exactly.
I will say I like just had an epiphany right here listening to you girls talk. If you remember Seth in our previous conversation, I was always like, it's a little weird. He's basically falling in love with himself. That's weird.
Yeah.
But now listening to you guys and how you just explained it makes so much more sense to me and I like it. I think that's what they were trying to go for and not just throw romance of a female and a male together. You know what I mean? I like that.
No, and honestly, I felt like it paid off and it made me look at Marvel in a different light because I feel like the projects they've had this year have been a lot of more like inner struggles and like overcoming your personal traumas and I feel like this
your
show
own monsters.
That's
exactly. And like it started with Wanda and Vision, and then it continued on with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and it continued on with Loki.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they're doing a really good job this year.
The Marvel shows have been carrying TV on its back, honestly. There hasn't been anything that like new on Netflix, on any sort of streaming, on cable that has grabbed my attention like these Marvel shows.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Minus my Turkish shows.
Can't forget about them. How dare you? I wish people could see S's face during this whole conversation.
I know, she's like, Marvel. Who?
I thought you liked Marvel, S.
I like Marvel.
Oh, okay. It's Star Wars she doesn't like.
I know her sister for sure likes Marvel, so I'm like, she must like Marvel.
Yeah.
Shout out to S's sister. All right, so I was scrolling through Facebook on a Wednesday night at 10 p.m., as one does, to try to fall asleep. And I stumbled upon a post on a group called Pride and Prejudice 2005. I'm in that group, great memes. And someone was essentially saying, if you like Pride and Prejudice 2005, you should watch this movie. So I was like,
wait,
okay.
You watched a movie?
Yes, this is the plot twist of the century.
What?
So, wait, hold on. So the person had put the YouTube link, because the movie is on YouTube. So I was like, all right, I'll just like click on it just so it's on like in my history so I can find it again in like 3 weeks, 4 months, a year, whenever I want to watch it. I click on the link and the movie starts playing and I watch 5 minutes and then I watch 10 minutes. And then I watched 30 minutes and I'm like, I'm still here. And it's like 11 o'clock and I cannot stop watching. I'm like, fuck it. I'm watching the whole thing tonight. So
I'm dying for the title of this movie.
I know,
the
me
movie
too.
is called The Silence of the Sea. It is a French-Belgian movie. So it's actually called Le Silence de la Mer. So it's like, it's a French production, as I said. So the movie is in French, but the movie is on YouTube with English subtitles. So that's how I watched it. And essentially it's based on a book and it takes place in France during the German occupation. So like the Nazi occupation in France, at the very, very beginning of the Second World War. And our heroine, Jeanne, she lives with her grandfather in like this really beautiful house. And her parents used to live there as well, but it's obvious that like they've died, but they kind of kept their room, as it was, so left untouched and everything. But then one day, you have German officers who come by to check out the house, and they're like, well, clearly you have this one room that's unoccupied, therefore we will send one of our officers to live with you. And that's like forced. That's like, you don't have a say. This officer now lives in your house and you're just gonna have to live around him. And Jeanne and her grandfather kind of obviously have like a grudge against the German. Like they know that what they're doing is not right. Obviously at this point, like it's the very beginning of it. So, things are kind of uncertain still. And the German officer arrives. His name is Werner. A very, I'm sure my German pronunciation is fantastic. But he arrives and he's really not how they thought he was gonna be. He's actually like really friendly. He's trying to make conversation with them. He's always like, good morning, good night. Like he just wants to talk to them. And Jeanne refuses to talk to him. So this man is talking to her. He's trying to make conversation and she will not even look at him sometimes. Like he will literally ask her questions and nothing. No answer. So there is so much angst in this movie, you guys.
It sounds like it.
I cannot tell you, because I'm not kidding. The whole movie, she refuses to speak to him. And this man constantly tries. Like, he never gives up. Like, he constantly does this little thing to try and, like, get her to say something. Or, like, he plays the piano because, like, they share that love for piano. Anyway, it's just constantly trying to make efforts, and like she's not responding at all. And obviously, like, you understand why she's doing it. Like, it's not like she's just being stubborn. It's like, no, like she's actually standing up for a cause and everything. But I cannot tell you, like, I was in my bed, literally, this is not exaggerating, I was biting my knuckles to keep me from screaming at this angst.
Wait. So what was this called again?
The Silence of the Sea. I was literally like this, like trying to keep myself from squealing out loud, because I was like, this is like this man, whatever he's doing, like the angst is too good.
Oh my gosh! All right.
So that being said, I mean, if you want like a crash course in sexual chemistry and tension without a single word being spoken between the two people, watch this freaking movie. Yeah, he's pretty hot. Watch this freaking movie. The quality on YouTube is terrible, but like, you don't care, like you don't give a fuck about the quality.
I mean,
No, I mean, you're not there for that. You're just too entranced by what's going on screen to care that the quality is like potato.
I feel like we're
Okay.
due for the next amazing period romance movie.
Oh,
We're
absolutely.
I agree.
we're due.
Yeah. So, just fair warning, it is not a romance. I'm not even sure it's a love story. It's a story of attraction. It's a story of defiance. And let me tell you that so this tension builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you get to the end of the movie, and one word, you guys, changes everything. And it's like how much can be said and unsaid with one word, left unsaid, but there's so many things and emotions and feelings and thoughts that are said with that one word, and you're like, oh my fucking god. So it doesn't end happily, it doesn't end tragically, but it doesn't end happily for these characters.
I mean, I can imagine why.
Yeah. We're in the middle of a war.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And like when you take in the context of like when this book was actually written, because it was written in 1941 and published under a pseudonym in 1942, the man who wrote it was like his story, what he wanted was to show that quiet defiance, like standing strong for what you believe in, is what matters. And so you understand why the heroine like stands, like she's very strong-willed, and she's like, no, I've got these beliefs, and I'm not gonna give in to whatever this is. But
Yeah.
that one word, guys, one word has never felt so satisfying in my entire life. Yeah, it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
What is the name again?
The Silence of the Sea, which is a direct reference to her.
Interesting. Oh, silence. Duh.
So the way you explained the whole plot of the movie, it reminds me of, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but let me see if I can add it here on the...
Yes! S. I thought the same thing. When she was talking about it, I thought it was that movie.
Right? Like it's very similar.
Like a French suitcase, it's like French suitcase, something like that. I don't know. It's in French.
Oh, the Suite Française.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen that.
It was good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
I think it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, so if you want the essentially the whole movie is that that one scene when Darcy does the hand thing after touching Elizabeth, like his hand does the, oh my god, I just touched her, what the hell. The whole movie is that hand gesture. that's the best way I can describe it.
I have a confession to make.
Yes.
What?
I've seen Pride and Prejudice. I don't remember anything.
Okay, so next episode we're gonna watch Pride and Prejudice with G.
Didn't we watch it all together?
No, it was just you, me, and S, I think, that one night.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We were introducing S to Pride and Prejudice that night.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she liked it. Honestly, that would have ended our friendship right then and there.
I know.
Can you imagine? Anyways, so yeah, that's my my next rec. What about you, Chi? What's next on your list?
So I'm actually super excited about this one. I'm super excited about all the books that I'm gonna be talking about. It feels like we've been talking forever, but this one is by actually someone who I consider kind of a friend, an author that I consider kind of a friend, Brianna Hale.
Oh, yeah.
She writes amazing romances of all different kinds. And in my Bookstagram days, we became close. We would talk. I, loved her books. And she has now written a reverse harem under a pen name, Lilith St. Vincent, and it is called First Comes Blood. It is a mafia reverse harem, which one thing you guys need to know about me, if there is mafia anywhere in it, I'm here for it. This it's different because it is a reverse harem, and I feel like most reverse harems are set in like fantasy worlds because it makes more sense biologically. But this one is not. It's happening in our world. So on her 17th birthday, our heroine is told by her father, who is also the mayor of their town, that she needs to choose a husband and she will get married on her 18th birthday. The men that she gets to choose from are not the best of men and run their own sort of illegal activities in that town. and the mayor has, sparked a deal with them, and in return they get his daughter. So her 17th birthday, like imagine she's thought she was going to be celebrating her birthday, and instead she's there to choose her future husband.
Yikes.
These men, right, and they're not very nice to her.
Okay.
I wouldn't say in a bullying way, because like I said before, I'm not a fan of extreme bullying like that, but they're just the right amount of asshole. During her birthday party, she gets a taste, literally, of each of them, and she's left in a very bad state because something happens on the night of her 17th birthday that's very tragic and kind of leaves a scar on her. I can't even tell you much more because it's going to spoil a bunch of stuff.
Do they kidnap her? Like, do they agree to kidnap her?
Maybe.
There might be some kidnapping.
Blink twice if yes.
There might be some kidnapping. There might be some light torture.
Ooh.
Oh. Is it a daddy book? I feel like Brianna Hale.
No, I mean, okay, Brianna Hale. Nobody does daddy books like Brianna Hale. I have to say, not that I've read many daddy books, but it's because she does them so well, and I like hers so well that I feel like she ruined all other daddy books for me.
To be quite honest, I don't read any other daddy books but her. Like, I don't think I could. Like, it's not a trope I particularly like that much, but I feel like she just does them so well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So the way that she does them, okay, so for me, I have to say that a daddy book needs to have the word daddy in it. Like, she needs to eventually get to that point, because it ain't a daddy book unless it's there.
Yeah, of course.
So the way Brianna Hale does it, it's not gross or like in a way that makes you uncomfortable. Her writing is it comes so organically to her. So it's not First Comes Blood is not a daddy book, but the characters are very zaddy. If you know what I mean.
I mean, I don't seek out daddy books, but if I am reading one, I don't mind it if they call each other daddy, little girl, or little boy. But I draw the line at actually dressing up for it. Like, that's where I'm like, all right, I'm tapping out. This is not for me.
Like putting her in like little baby clothes, you mean?
Baby clothes and like playing with toys and stuff I can't do that. I can't.
Yeah. That is a hard line
I
for
agree
me
with
too,
that line. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
But another thing that I think is important with mafia romances is that it feels like a real like family run like crime family type of thing. And being an Italian American myself, it
titillates something in you.
It adds that extra spice when all of them are Italian. Yeah. To me, and my favorite mafias are Italian mafias. Irish mafias are good too.
Russian mafia is very good too.
Yes.
Yes, I do like Russian mafia. I think that actually is my order: Italian mafia, Irish mafia, Russian mafia.
I don't think I've read an Irish mafia book before.
Really?
I don't think I have.
A. Zavarelli has a whole series that's all Irish. Are they Irish? Yeah, no, they are.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another question about reverse harems in general. You can even talk about, I guess, use this book as an example. Do the scenes, like their sex scenes, do they like happen with all of them, or like a few of them at one time with her, or like two of them at one time with her?
So in First Comes Blood, they haven't, because it is part of a series. This is just book 1. They haven't had sex with her all at the same time. There is a scene where she is performing some sexual acts on one of the members of the harem, and 2 of them are watching.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They don't participate all together, but I will say, for the best reverse harem of all time, Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, special shout out to that one. They do partake together.
Yeah, as mentioned that one in our 3rd catch up and show.
I think so.
Yeah. The one that's called Monster Lovers. This one is for you. That one. So if you're interested in that one and you want to hear us talk about it, then go check out that episode.
I cannot wait to see where the rest of this goes. It ended in a cliffhanger. The next book I think is coming out now in September. If you are a fan of Brianna Hale's work, of her writing, I definitely think you should check out her work as Lilith St. Vincent because just amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
All right, S, what's next?
Okay, next for me.
Poor S has to wait for all of us to go.
It's fine.
You always go first, though. You're last this time.
Yeah.
You can't complain.
No, it's okay. This one is for all the monster lovers out there.
Okay.
We're here.
I know, right?
It's Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Oh, yes!
CM Nascosta. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but yeah. So me and Seth read this book a couple weeks ago, and we freaking loved it. It's about Violet, who is down on her luck. She's having trouble finding a job.
Yeah.
She has too much debt, and she's on the verge of moving back in with her parents. That is until she comes across an unconventional job in a town called
To
Cambridge.
say the least.
In a town called Cambridge Creek. And I'm going to read a little snippet from the blurb just to kind of...
Ooh, love
yeah,
that.
so it says, Morning Glory Milking Farms offers full-time hours, full benefits, and generous pay with no experience needed. There's only one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef with the manly, meaty endowments to match. Milking minotaurs isn't something Violet ever considered as a career option. But she's determined to turn the opportunity into a reversal of fortune. Yeah, this book was really fun to read. It was cute. It was funny. It was steamy.
We're going to end up reading it, Marge. We're going to end up reading
You honestly need to at this
Oh,
point.
girl, the sample is on my Kindle just waiting for me. I'm gonna go milk minotaur dicks eventually. It's gonna happen. We're going to the farm, girls.
Yeehaw.
You have to.
Honestly, though, okay, question. Does this job application not, feel, doesn't it not sound too good to be true? You get, no, listen, you get your benefits. You get amazing pay, no experience required. All you need to do is milk some dick.
I don't have benefits now. My pay's all right.
G is going to the farm. That's it. Leaving her job tomorrow morning.
So my question, Steph, would you consider a job like this?
I
If you were in Violet's position?
I can answer that for her. It's yes.
That would be a maybe.
I'm just trying to, the only thing that's stopping me really is the thought of it being a minotaur. I just have to picture myself in a world where cows and whatever are kind of just walking around, That's what's a little weird to me. But sometimes a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
I feel like we should mention, I don't know if you've watched the show Beastars or Beastars or however you say it. It's very, it kind of resembles that world in the sense where, they're animals that are, kind of humanized and, they're given human attributes, wearing clothes, going to school, working, and things like that. It kind of is that world in the sense where, it's mythical creatures instead. So there's minotaurs, there's fae, there's orcs, there's vampires, werewolves, you name it. Every creature you can think of, they're in it. They're in the working life, they're at school, they're just living their life like normal people. And, it's, the humans that are, still considered, the majority population, but there are little populations of mythical creatures that have their own area.
Yeah. Also, I love that I said that, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, Marge, you literally have Minotaur romance on your TBR. You can't act like this is weird.
Yeah.
You can't. So...
But I didn't know that the paperback was available.
Oh, she's like, I want it.
Thank you for letting me know, G.
Okay, I got it. I found it.
If a dirty talker is something you're into, this minotaur.
Are you asking?
I'm just saying in general, whoever is listening to this episode, if that's something you're into, dirty talking, this minotaur has got you.
Why did this book just get to the top of my TBR list now?
You have to read it, G.
Yeah, I know. He's
soon.
really great in that. And honestly, I don't know if this is another thing that you might be interested in. Just like picture a ginormous minotaur, and you know what comes with that, like a giant, but you know,
appendage. We love that word.
Appendage.
I really wish people could have seen all the cow puns that we had in our group chat for a while.
Yeah.
Thanks to this book. Honestly, this book, like, if you don't want to read it, it provides great fun anyway. Like,
exactly.
We were very entertained.
Yeah.
Amongst ourselves.
Yeah. And I mean, like, okay, all jokes aside, there's still like a good dialogue that could be had about this book in terms of like the species and like coexisting and like everything that's going on in terms of like her job. Like, I just feel like there's good dialogue to be had if you're going into for something else. But like, it's good smut, and it's just like, it's a good story and with great characters.
And it's Ruby Dixon approved.
Hey,
true.
So,
love her.
If the queen approves it, you know it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Seth. What's next?
Right. Okay, so my last thing on my list, before honorable mentions, is The Savage and the Swan by Ella Fields.
Yes.
So this book, it's on the list, not necessarily because of like, I would say like the plot. Like the plot was there, but I feel like it needed some work with developing it. But it's really on the list because of the romance and their development of their story. So basically the book starts off with Opal, which is the main girl. She's a princess of this kingdom. She's learning of her arranged marriage to a human king, and his kingdom and her own are the only ones that are kind of remaining. Because the main guy, his kingdom is just like massacring people and just trying to like, you know, avenge his own parents' death because they died brutally. And like, we don't know the full story until later on in the story, but she ends up running away to a secluded place, and she meets this knight of the savage king. And then so like they both bond, and he teaches her how to fight, and like they have their moments. And then her parents are also trying to find a way forward with everything that's going on. And so Opal's father, this is like during the days of her meeting him and like all of that stuff, Opal's father has to travel to the human kingdom, and things happen, and then Opal senses something's going on, and so she shifts into her swan form. So she is like obviously known as like the swan, the black swan, and she gets to her father in time to see his heart being ripped out from his chest, and she sees the person doing it is actually the supposed knight that she so fell in love with. And so she figures out that the man that she was getting to know is actually the Savage King, and he just brutally murdered her father. And so
snap.
like, yeah. And then it was just so dramatic, and I remember like how dramatic it was, and like I was like freaking out because he killed her father, her much loved father. And it's just like, where do you go from there? How do you move forward from that? And it's like there's prophecies, there's things going on, and honestly, I would recommend this book if you are really into villain romances, because he's very much a villain.
Check.
And he's got to learn to love and be loved, and it's a real slow burn as well, because they need to like build from like below the ground up at this point. And yeah, if you're into villain romancing and all that good stuff, then yeah, this one could be for you.
So I've seen the book around. The cover is gorgeous. Is she like the only shifter? Would you consider her a shifter?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so she's not the only shifter. All the other Fae as well can shift. So his species in general, like not his species, but like his people can transform into wolves. So he's known as like the white wolf, and she's known as the black swan.
Ooh, love that metaphor. Interesting.
All right. So from one slow burn to another, and more specifically a book by who many would call the queen of slow burns, I read From Luca with Love by Mariana Zapata.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed it. In fact, I think it's one of my favorite by hers, which I'm kind of controversial with my Mariana Zapata opinions, I feel like, because I feel like what is a lot of people's favorite is not necessarily my favorite, aka The Wall of Winnipeg and Me.
I love that one.
I mean, I really enjoyed that book. It's just like some books kind of leave an impression on you, and then you think about it over and over again, and then you think back fondly of that book. And The Wall of Winnipeg and Me kind of didn't do that for me. So
what is your favorite one? Sorry, by Mariana.
well, I mean, now I'm hesitating between this one. I really liked Dear Erin, which I feel like nobody likes that one.
I
but
love that one.
I'm a Mariana virgin.
Well, you don't like slow burns, though.
I don't like slow burn.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. I can
So she's not for you.
I can do a slow burn if it's like if they're giving me something. If they're throwing me like lifelines every so often, I can do it. But
Okay.
slow burns is not my fave. But continue.
Yeah, so Dear Erin was an epistolary romance, so if you're into that, like 40, if not 60% of the book is done through like emails and letters.
Oh my gosh,
and,
it's
like,
more
text
than half. I
messages
know
and
it's more than
everything.
half.
Yeah, no, it takes forever.
Yeah.
But and by some coincidence, From Luca, what not a coincidence at all. From Luca with Love is actually related to that book because it's about the little sister of the heroine from Dear Erin.
Yeah.
So, what this book is about. So you have Lukov, who is a decorated figure skating athlete. He's got all the medals, all the trophies, all the everything. He's got like gold medals for the Olympics and everything. And his family is pretty wealthy. He's Russian, by the way. And he's got a pretty wealthy family who owns like a skating rink. Where Jasmine, our heroine, she has been training there all her life. And him and her have known each other all their lives because Jasmine is Lukov's little sister's best friend. That being said, it's a Mariana Zapata book. Therefore, they hate each other. And they've always hated each other. And they've always had this, like, rivalry between them where they were like, your costume's ugly and you skate bad and whatever. Like, they were always insulting each other and being really mean to each other and everything. Until Jasmine gets to a point where she's quite a bit older now. She's been skating, like I said, all her life. And she's never really won anything. And she's kind of getting to a point where she feels like a bit of a failure, and people around her, except her family, kind of treat her like a failure because it's like, why are you still here? Like, why do you keep up this dream that clearly is not made for you? Like, go find a real job. And she's like, but this is what I want. Like, my passion is here. This is who I am. Like, I can't see myself not doing this, you know? But she perseveres, even though she just feels like she's a letdown. And Lukov finds himself without a partner. So both of them skate in pairs, and he finds himself without a partner for a year, and she doesn't have a partner anymore because there was some drama.
Coincidence?
Yeah, so Lukov is like, well, you don't have a partner, and I don't have a partner, and I need one for a year, and you're a fucking failure, so how about you skate with me, and maybe I'll make you win a couple medals.
He was such an asshole at the beginning. I remember.
And Jasmine is like, all right, I fucking hate his guts, but, like, this is my only chance. Like, I need to take this opportunity. Like, I need something. Like, I need to prove to myself that I can. So she takes up the offer. They start training together. They're a fucking wreck to begin with. You know, insults continue to fly, but then obviously, eventually, it kind of goes from enemies to, you know, reluctant friends to actual friends to lovers.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a Mariana Zapata book without you having that realization that, you know, the guy all along just loved her, but he was just showing it in the most fucked up ways.
Like an elementary school boy.
Yes.
Yes. Like being mean because he loves her. What? Anyways, loved Lukov. Really did. I mean, I gotta say, like, she writes good, mean men.
She does.
And I really loved Jasmine, like, or her whole story of, like, you know, I'm worth it, and, like, I love my body, I love what it can do, I'm strong, I'm passionate about this, and I'm gonna keep going, and just because I'm failing at it doesn't mean that I'm a complete failure and that it's not worth it to keep going, you know, I'll get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really did.
No, I think I vaguely remember picking this book up after, like, I had Sirius Scott and Tessa Feels. So
yeah, Scott and Tessa.
I picked this book up and I was like, oh my gosh, I was feeling the feels.
I mean, I I completely gave in to like the whole Olympic thing. Like I read this during the Olympics. Like I hate myself because I'm like, I don't understand why people start writing Olympic themed books around the Olympic, but like, I get it. But I also hate that I'm like that reader that gives in and is like, oh, how about a cute Olympic romance? Which the Olympics are not even in this book, but I just wanted something like sportsy, which, like you said, G, earlier on, like I don't read sports romance anymore. So this was like a fun
good
change of pace.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Look at us.
Same mind.
Mind links.
Same mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to recommend me a slow burn, I'm not even gonna put out parameters. Recommend me a slow burn.
Oh God. Seth, that's on you.
I don't even know. Like, if we're going in terms of like Mariana Zapata,
I don't think she could.
But that's slow burn. That's
because
the definition of slow burn.
I'll tell you one thing. My pet peeve with Mariana Zapata is that every book I read of hers, I feel like it's 600 pages but could be 400. I always feel like there's 200 pages of inner monologue that doesn't need to be there.
I mean,
but that's her style.
See
she
that.
can do it if she wants to, you know? But I, as the reader, I'm just like, we don't need to be going over this again and again and again. So that's not for G.
S, do you like slow burn?
Yeah, I do.
So you would say Mariana, Seth?
I personally love her, but like I can see why she's not for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just love slow burn. So a majority of the books I do read are slow burn, and I don't even really realize it.
Yeah. I mean, have you read Slow Heat, so I can't recommend that.
That was slow burn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, not in terms of sex. I feel like there's a difference between, like, I think Marge has already said this. There's a difference between, like, romance and, like, sex. So, like, sex can happen earlier on.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no romance.
I think I could do slow burn, like I said, if they're throwing me, like, just little bits here and there. Like, I could do it.
Try The Wall of Winnipeg.
Yeah, that one's good. I love that one.
Give that one a try.
Try that. Try that.
Okay, you know what? You know what's a slow burn? The whole series is kind of a slow burn, but like not really, depending on how you look at it. I'm gonna say this again, and I need you on this train, G. I need you to read the Zoe Draven Horde King series.
Oh yeah, go there.
Okay.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
They're alien romances, but like they're very much barbaric. Think Khal Drogo and Daenerys. All books kind of resemble them.
She sold me book 2 as Raylo.
Yeah, book 2 is kind of Raylo.
Check. Zoe Draven, you said?
Yes.
But it's Raylo in the sense where she's very much like emulating Ray Nobody. But she's really good. I love all 4 of her books in that series. Like, they're all unique, despite them kind of being the same with like a human/alien pairing. But it's a very different take on alien romance, I would say.
Okay. It's funny because I was just listening to the Catch Up and Chill where you talk about one of them. I don't remember which one, but you were talking about that one.
All right, G.
So I kind of left my favorite for last. Not trying to pick favorites or anything, but
you totally
this one.
did.
But this one, like, look at the smile on my face. Like, it's just very. Okay, hold on. We gotta start.
Okay, tell us.
It is a reverse harem.
Shocking.
So sorry. If you guys can't tell, I'm on a reverse harem binge right now. It's doing it for me. I'm loving it. I'm riding the wave. But this one is called...
Question.
Yes.
Before you start. Is this your first time experiencing reverse harem, like, during this binge?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My first reverse harem was Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. And wow, did that set the pace for me. But, so this one is called Baby and the Late Night Howlers, which is by the same author, Catherine Moon, as Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. And this one is a sweet Omegaverse. So for those who aren't really familiar, the sweet Omegaverse is kind of more like the contemporary Omegaverse, I guess you would call it. No, like, feral, nobody, everyone's chilling. There's alphas and omegas. So that one's considered a sweet Omegaverse, and it's basically Baby, who her whole life thought she was a beta, until one night she's at a club and she starts perfuming which is something that omegas do
So she's
when they're
secreting a scent that's appealing. I see.
to men or
Mm-hmm.
women alphas. Hmm.
Pheromones,
So
if you will.
yeah, there you go. So luckily, she is approached by a man who is very sweet and says, "Hey, I better get you out of here because you're surrounded by alphas and you're secreting a pheromone very strongly into the air, and I don't want you to get hurt."
Ooh.
So he takes her to the Omega Center, which is where in this world, it's, contemporary, but in the city, all the Omegas go there when they first are in their first heat, discovering, what it is like to be an Omega. And she's kind of rare because she's in her 20s and is just now finding out that she's an Omega. So all of these things are very new to her. And what I found interesting about this book is that in this Omega Center, they help you find your pack. So you kind of go on like interviews and you go to their compound clubhouse and you meet with them and you see their nest because they have a nest prepared for the Omega.
A lot of Omega verse have like the nesting thing, which it is probably derived from like the whole like, oh, pregnant women when they get to a certain point they start nesting,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cleaning the house and like putting everything together. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a weird thing.
You're not into the nesting?
Oh, I mean, because the ones that I've read, it was like the nesting part was like the woman was literally like grabbing clothes off of her men and like throwing them into a pile and like making like an actual nest out of his clothes that like smelled like him. And if
Yeah.
it didn't smell like him anymore, she would go insane. Like she would. It was weird. Like it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Farrell also had a nesting instance in the third book.
I haven't read the third book, but in the first book she did.
Oh, okay then.
I just don't like the term because then I'm expecting them to like pop out an egg or something. And, like,
Ugh.
I don't like
Stop
that.
it with the egg popping out.
So that does happen in a lot of Omega verse, but in this one, it's more of like a place for the Omega that's away from her pack that can be hers and where she feels comfortable. And yes, she eventually, when she's in her heat, wants the male sense there, but it's really just a place away from her pack, like kind of think of it like an apartment within a compound kind of thing. So she after like a few weeks at the Omega Center, she's taken to a few different packs and she has an interview with them and one of them, they're a very wealthy pack, they come from money, their place is beautiful, the nest is beautiful, but she doesn't feel a connection with them until she meets the Late Night Howlers, which is an MC, a motorcycle club.
Ooh.
And they're all older. They kind of almost gave up hope that they would ever find an Omega for their pack. So they don't really have things ready. And when the Omega Center called that they had someone interested, they were a little taken by surprise. So they were like scrambling, trying to get things together. But lo and behold, Baby had a very, she formed a connection with them and against everyone's recommendation, she went with the Late Night Howlers. And that's where the story kind of takes off. And it was just so like cutesy and like it was cutesy to the point where like it was the good cheesy. Like it was just
Okay.
that like feel good cheesy. But then what I truly truly love about Catherine Moon's writing is that it can be super cheesy like that, but then she's also incorporating action and suspense. So like it keeps you on your toes and like in this book the MC, as MCs usually do, get into drama with other MCs and um without trying to spoil it too much, Baby's life may be put in danger a little bit,
Oh
which is
no.
always adding a little bit of spice.
Oh
um which is that's my favorite when the heroine is in danger and everybody's like protect her. It was amazing. And
Yeah.
S actually read the book too, so I would love to hear what you thought about it.
Oh God, no.
Putting you on the spot.
No, it wasn't bad. I really enjoyed it. But I will say there were moments where I feel like it dragged on a little bit. What was his name? Jack, Jonah, Joseph,
Jonah,
Jonah.
the alpha.
He got on my nerves.
Yes.
He was like he was too good.
I love it when S hates the guys in the books.
Me too.
So, I don't know. It's up to you guys. Can we spoil it just a little bit?
I mean, in case anyone's listening and wants to read it, can't spoil it too much.
Okay. So, yeah, I have to agree with S. He did get a little annoying, like eye rolling, like whatever, annoying.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, that's the great thing about reverse harem is because when one's being annoying, you have 4 other ones that are being great.
Oh my gosh.
The fantasy.
That's true. Yeah.
I just feel like 5 men to handle 5 men at once.
Sounds exhausting, honestly.
It sounds like a nightmare. I don't
I think
don't know.
I think you guys just need to try a reverse harem so that you see that it might not be what you think it is. Because again, A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor was the only one that I've read so far where they all participate at the same time, but it was once.
No, but imagine having 5 husbands.
I don't know if they're all gonna get married. Well, that's her pack, so yeah, technically, I guess you can consider them her husbands.
That's her new family there.
That's gonna be my rule. Okay, we can make a bargain right here, right now. It's on the podcast. When
She's stuttering.
When I read a reverse harem, it's gonna have to be one where there is no crossing of any swords and holes, and nobody is like just 2 people at once, please. So you're gonna have to find one for me that's really, really good. Has like great angst. S is already thinking about it. She's like,
Yes, my mind's
I know. I
right
see her face.
So it's gonna have to be one that has angst and a really good story. And
And the one that I was just reading might be the one for you.
No funny business between anyone at the same time.
So DP is out of the question for you.
D what?
DP?
Double dick. Double dick is out of the
Basically.
question.
Double penetration.
Well, I mean, I'm not opposed to it if it's on the same guy. Like, if the same guy has 2 dicks, I'm into it. But if
but
2
guys,
no. No.
Okay.
No.
I think there are reverse harems that it's by themselves. The girl with 1 guy, no double, no 2. But then there are reverse. Like I'm reading a reverse harem right now that's Omegaverse, and there's MM in it. So they all share like all the like, but it's between alphas, omegas, and betas.
But then
betas?
wouldn't that just be a poly relationship? What's the difference?
It would be if it's like what 3.
Okay.
It has to be 3 or more, or 4 or more.
I think reverse harem is that's what they are, polyamorous. Yeah.
So as the books that you talked about, so you talked about the first one, I don't remember what it was called.
Broken Bonds?
Yeah, that one. And then the other Omega one where they had a male Omega and that they shunned her, the female Omega.
So that's the next one I'm going to talk about on my...
Oh,
it's
sorry.
going to be the next one. But
Okay, so that one. So, like, are there any scenes of them, as Marge would put it, crossing swords?
I mean, crossing swords is... Okay, yeah. Sure.
I know, they're
in Broken Bonds,
more than 1 dick.
In Broken Bonds, no. There isn't. As of yet, not yet. And I doubt they're going to be... Because they're all alphas.
And 2 of them are... I don't know, should I say it?
Whisper it to me.
Brothers.
Oh, yeah, they're brothers. Yeah.
Oh!
So, yeah, I
that's a
highly
hard
doubt
one.
there's going to be, like...
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. And the one I'm currently reading, there is MM. And so far, there's a scene where it's just the 2 guys.
What are you currently reading, S? Oh, she's keeping it a secret. All right. Next catch up until then. We're going to have to wait. What's next on your list?
It's called Pack Darling by Lola Rock. And it's the first book in a duology.
I want to read that.
Yes. And I want to say, like, this is my top favorite reverse harem book right now. Like, I am obsessed with this book. I'm constantly thinking about it. So it's a reverse harem, but it's an Omegaverse. It's a bit of a slow burn. Just like the first book I mentioned, you're probably going to hate the guys, like, a lot in this one. Like, it's a given. So it's about Lila Darling, who, at a young age, she was sold off to the OCC, which is called the Omega Cultivation Center, when her mother found out that she was an Omega. At this center, they basically train you and prepare you for when you awaken, and and basically you have to compete to win over a pack. But Lila, she's the type that she just wants to be alone. She doesn't want to participate in any of that. She just wants to be in her room, take off her bra, eat hot Cheetos, and just sit there with her TBR pile. So she does everything in her power to delay her awakening. Like, she does, like, a lot. Just to avoid having to compete for a pack. Okay, so it doesn't go according to plan, though. She ends up being placed with a pack that already has an Omega. And the Omega is male. So it's kind of not... It's something that doesn't happen a lot. And then in this pack, we have Atlas, Hunter, Finn, Jet, and Orion. And Orion being the male Omega. And basically, these guys think that she's coming into their home and she has, like, a plan to kind of, like, be, like, a gold digger and kind of mess up the dynamic that they have. So they're really defensive, and they just want to protect their current Omega. But they're assholes to her. They treat her really badly. The ending would probably make you scream. And I've already mentioned it, like, Seth and Mars, like, you already know, I kind of explained, like, what happens. Like, it's really bad. This is another book where I'm hoping we get good grovel in the second book. Like, I want these guys dragged through broken glass, through fire ants, through fire. I want them to endure paper cuts.
Get dragged behind a horse.
Stepped on Legos.
Run over by a truck.
Yes, all of that, all the above. I want her to be treated like
treated like she deserves.
Yes, but I want her to be, like, the main focus. It's tricky because there's already an Omega.
Yeah. But do you think it's headed that way, that there'll be a good grovel?
I want to say yes, because I've seen, like, little teasers for the second book. And each guy you get a point of view from each guy. So you kind of know a little bit of their backstory and what they've kind of gone through and why they are so defensive. The second book comes out in September. Like, I can't.
All the books are coming out in September, as you're gonna be busy.
I was just about to say, we got a lot of books coming.
And okay, so I guess so in this book, and I guess in other Omega books, they have, like, the scent thing where you perfume. So it has it in this too. So I kind of want to incorporate a question and ask you girls, like, if you were in a Omegaverse world and you were to awaken and have a scent, what would you want your scent to be?
Ooh.
I love this question.
Oh my god, I need to think about this. Like, scents. What are scents? I don't know.
Honestly, and they don't probably mix well together, but, like, my scents would be coffee and clean laundry.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay.
I love, like, what did you expect? Like, flowers?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm gonna be boring and say, like, vanilla. The boring white girl being like, vanilla.
Like, think of the scents. Think of the scents that, like, attract you. Like, for me, like, cedar wood.
Well, I was trying to think of, like, my own perfume. Like, what does my perfume scent smell like? And I don't actually know the answer to that. So
roses?
I have my answer. I want to smell like pines and snow so that Rowan Whitethorn will find me by scent alone.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Your Omegaverse mate with Rowan Whitethorn would come out.
It's only Rowan, 8 copies of Rowan. That's my reverse harem. But I'm happy with that. Just 8
All
Rowans.
Right. Wait. Guys, let's do that. Okay. Pick 4 fictional characters that you want in your harem.
Oh my gosh. That's a hard one.
Is it though?
Pun intended. Because they're limiting it up to 4. Okay, so I got it. Zadis Lothair. Lorcan, for sure. And I need to have some alien dick in there. So one of Zoe Draven's guys. The second guy.
That's the thing. Like, you gotta pick varied stuff. Like, this is your opportunity to really have, like, all the excitement possible. Rowan, for one. Then I would probably say Charles from the Alpha and Omega series by Patricia Briggs. Two assassins, basically the same man. So I'm still on brand with my Rowan times 8. Then I would probably say, I would probably say Declan from Immortals After Dark.
Oh,
I want someone who's gonna mess me up. And then I got 4. I'm allowed 4? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It could be anyone. It could literally be anyone. Oh, my God. Xylus. I'm having Xylus in my reverse harem. A little demon action.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good choice.
What about US?
I think for me it would be Aaron Warner.
Oh!
I was like,
God.
she's gonna pick Aaron.
Warner. Josh Templeman.
In your reverse harem? How boring.
No. We need a Josh. And then
I know.
Josh.
For comedic relief.
Nas.
No, that was mine.
Oh, mafia guy.
Yes.
Okay.
We could share him.
Yes, we can share. We got 4 of them.
Maybe Lauren Hale from the Addicted series.
A lot of contemporary guys.
Ooh.
S is going for the very normal looking guys. I'm surprised. 'Cause
Yeah.
She's the one that likes the weird.
Yeah.
No minotaurs for you, S.
We can rotate him in every once in a while.
What about you, G?
Okay, for me, Resand, Naz. Wow, I put you guys on the spot and I didn't even think of mine.
I fucked up.
Who did you forget? Who did you forget so I can take him? Who did you forget?
I'm not saying it till you're done.
I think I know who.
Okay, so Resand, Naz, easy. Kylo Ren.
How did we fucking forget him? Kylo Ren Erasure is really, it's no, that's not great.
I thought we were doing book characters, so I didn't even think to.
But I'm still
include
changing
him.
my answer. Go, finish.
Okay,
Finish.
so we don't have to do Kylo. I want Resand. I want Naz. I want...
She's like, what book have I read? Ever.
Every book that I've ever read just flies out the window.
What about from Rook's Grave? Which one of those men?
Ooh, that's so hard. Either the vampire, I forget his name right now. Augustine, or Ezra.
Oh, yeah, I love Ezra.
All right. I'm breaking all the rules, and my reverse harem is gonna have to have 5 men in it, and the 5th one is gonna have to be Lord Death, because I cannot believe I forgot about him.
Yeah.
My main bae,
Really?
Lord Death. What do you mean, really? My whole identity is based on my love for that man.
My opinion. Wait, are we talking about Lord Death from Keturah and Lord Death?
We're
Or
talking about
just the
all
idea?
forms of Lord Death, but
Okay.
more specifically, yes, him, because he was hot and he has those leather gloves, and I was here for it on top of that horse.
Oh, yeah. I also just realized my reverse harem is kind of,
Psychotic.
yes, and also there's 2 vampires, so I will probably be dead in the first day.
You got it, girl. You can do it.
There are worst ways to die.
Okay, my blood will just be, replenished
Pause.
soon.
Pause. You didn't pick St. Vincent, Marge? Who are you? I hope he's listening
All right,
somewhere.
moving on.
I
Tune into the next episode.
So embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I will be leaving this podcast immediately and sending my resignation in.
I was literally going down my books and I was like, Lisa Claypaz, this bitch didn't say.
Well, all right. So I need 6 men on my reverse harem. Okay.
I'm dead.
I love how I was like, this is too much. Like, this must be so much effort. But now I'm like, fuck it. I got 6 on my reverse harem and I don't care. All right. Does anyone have honorable mentions? I have 1.
I have 2.
Excuse me? You were saying you had nothing.
I know, but then we decided to discuss things, and I kind of have 2 now.
Okay. Well, who wants to start?
I'll go. So I'm going to briefly talk about, and not offer too much information, but the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh, yes, no spoilers.
No spoilers. It's a reimagined tale of King Midas. It's an adult fantasy series with 4 books. The 4th book comes out It's set to come out next year. I am currently in the middle of the third book, and I am obsessed. Like, obsessed, to say the least.
Like, she's really obsessed. Like,
Yeah,
I
and you're
haven't
like going through these books so quickly.
Yeah, I haven't seen us read so many of the same, like, series in a row.
Yeah.
Like that in a while.
And I'm trying to, like, pace myself right now with the last book. I don't want to, like, speed through it. So I'm taking my time. So I won't say too much because I want you girls to join me, hopefully, on this journey.
Yes!
I plan on it.
So I will say that Guild starts off with introducing all the characters. It introduces the world, the different kingdoms. I feel like it's a really quick read, at least the first book. And I feel like it's really easy to get into. I will say to check the content warnings before starting it because I do feel like it can be triggering to some readers.
I got no triggers.
Yeah.
We going.
Okay, then perfect. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's such a good series. So the other one is, last but not least, another book by the amazing Jessa Kane.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
If you've heard our other Catch Up and Chill episodes.
You haven't mentioned her in a little while.
Right? Yeah.
She needs to write a reverse harem, I guess.
I'm waiting. So this one is a MMF.
It's a thruple.
It's a throuple, yeah. So this is a first for her. So I'm hoping she branches out, has a reverse harem.
She probably might.
I mean,
I
it's
hope
Jessa
so.
Kane. She'll
Yeah.
do it. She'll get there.
Yeah.
So this one is about this girl. So it's called Caught by the Convicts. She gets stuck in the middle of a prison break, and she gets saved by these two convicts. And one thing leads to another, or one thing goes into another body part.
Oh, love that.
That was good. That was good.
Transition. Love it.
And stuff happens. It's smutty, it's fun, it's good.
It's written porn. We love it.
Yeah. Jessa Kane, read her.
So my first one, honorable mention, is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I know, S, you've read it. All right, so basically it's a mafia romance with two opposing families forced to come together. So basically they hate each other so much, and like the animosity is so strong between the two families. So like that's like the kids of the families basically. And so both fathers believe that it's in their best interest if they join families, and that just so happens to be the main characters are forced to get married. And Ida, I believe her name is Ida, and Callum are forced. Oh wait! I have read an Italian mafia book. He is not Italian, sorry.
He's
Irish.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, he's Irish. Anyways, so they're forced to come together. They're forced to be married, and they don't necessarily want to be married to one another because she is kind of in charge of burning down his library and also throwing his grandfather's pocket watch into the ocean. It's just not a good dynamic between the two, but like the sexual chemistry is there. And yeah, I mean, like, if you want to...
Is that the book that everyone on Twitter was like, there's literally a scene where they actually try to kill each other? Like,
oh
they're
my
not
gosh,
playing around.
no, there's not just one scene. There's numerous scenes where they try to kill each other.
Love that.
So if that's something you're into, like real enemies to lovers, like not no rivals to lovers that try to portray as enemies to lovers, then this is the book for you. Real enemies to lovers, to a T.
Yeah, it's really good.
Did you like the audiobook though?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
All right, my second book actually is War by Laura Thalassa. And it's basically the second Horseman of the Apocalypse getting a book. And we actually did the first book, Pestilence, by the same author on the podcast. And so this book is a story between Miriam and War is convinced she is his wife sent to him by God himself. And Miriam obviously hates him because of the horrors she sees him do. Like, he's obviously massacring cities of people. And obviously she's not for it. And yeah, there's a lot of trigger warnings in this book. And I would suggest just check them out before you go ahead and reading this book. Oh, we are actually doing an episode on this book. And it's coming up in about 2 weeks' time. So be on the lookout for that if you want to hear our thoughts.
All right. My single honorable mention, I don't want to say too much about it because it's probably going to find itself into our best of 2021 list. My list, anyway. And it is The Song of David by Amy Harmon. So if you've listened to our Face Your Monster episode, the first one, which should be out, the book that I read in that one was The Law of Moses by Amy Harmon. In that episode, we were like, oh, maybe Marge, you should wait until you read another Amy Harmon book. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then a day passed and I was like, no, but I really want to read The Song of David.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I listened to the audiobook and oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Like, I loved The Law of Moses, but the Song of David fucking wrecked me. Wrecked me.
Oh my gosh.
So, it's an incredible novel, and again, I don't want to say anything about it because I probably will go into the blurb in that episode, so be on the lookout for that. But if you're looking for a really heartbreaking book, not a romance, does not have an HEA, let me tell you that much.
Oh, wow.
But a book that will make you cry, a book that will make you think, a book that will make you genuinely happy that, like, a fictional character exists, if that makes any sense. Like, you're just happy that someone wrote this character, then read The Song of David. It's incredible.
Are those books PNR?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
I hear that it's like tricky to answer that question.
Well, the Law of Moses has some, I guess, paranormal elements because Moses can speak to the dead. But The Song of David doesn't.
Did you know going into this book that there wasn't a happily ever after?
Absolutely not. I was lulled by a false sense of security because I had just finished The Law of Moses, which does have HEA, even though, like, it takes, you know, a while for us to get there and a lot of pain. But I was like, okay, so if this story has a HEA, then surely the Song of David will too. And I was hanging on to that for dear life the whole book. And then I got to the end and I was like, fuck my life.
Wow.
But it was a 5-star. You know what I mean? Like, it's the kind of book where you're like, fucking hell, that wrecked me. But you're also like, wow, it means something that it did. You know what I mean? Like, I really fucking cared about this character. So anyways, I was a mess.
It's been a while since I've read a good, like, tearjerker, heart-wrenching
girl
book.
I mean, if you're looking for one, that's the one.
She's got two for
Song
you.
of David.
Yeah. I mean, to be read after The Law of Moses, though, I would say. I do feel like they are standalones, but they're very much companions, and it makes more sense if you read it that way, because Moses is, like, a huge character in this book, because he's Tag's best friend, so... So anyway, you don't have a honorable mention, G, for us?
No, unfortunately. Since I am working my way out of a funk, I'm not staying too long if a book doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
And I'm DNFing a lot quicker than I would normally. But the books that I did mention and the books that I've read completely so far, I have loved them. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what's next.
All right.
Well, this was a very, very long list of books, so don't worry if you missed any of the titles or anything. The books are always listed in the description below, so you can go and scroll through that and you'll see everything there, including the books that we mentioned, like, just like that, you know, that are not technically on our list. We usually write them down as well for you in case you're interested. All right, so G, you're always complaining that you're frustrated because you can't answer us when you're listening to these episodes. How do you feel? How does it feel to finally do it?
That you guys can hear me when I'm actually answering you? Amazing. So I always tell the girls that when I listen to the podcast, because they are my friends, I feel like we're all talking together, and not when they'll say something and I agree and I'm like, oh my god, yes, and like nobody answers me. It's not because
now you are a part of this
now
discussion.
I was a part of it and it was amazing. Life made.
Well, we're happy to have you. We had a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for joining us this episode.
No, thank you guys.
You did amazing, by the way. You know, you were a newbie to podcasting and you did amazing. You're natural.
Thanks.
All right, so this is it for this Catch Up and Chill. I hope you found a couple recs to add to your TBR or your watch list. If so, happy reading and watching. You can find us online at the RTM Pod on Twitter, as well as Romancing the Monsters Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. You can also find us, you can email us at romancingthemonsterspodcast@gmail.com. And we're also on TikTok at Romancing the Monsters Pod, the list that keeps on giving. And if you want to find me specifically, you can always find me at Foes and Lovers on both Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me on Gabby is Booked on both Twitter and Instagram.
And your business, please shout out your business again.
Yes, it is called Within the Magic, and you can find us on Instagram at Within the Magic and at withinthemagic.com.
Yes.
And you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at ButThisBook.
And you can find me, Steph, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes. And also, please feel free to leave us a rating or review on any podcast platform. It means a lot to us, and it just
very helpful.
Keeps us going.
Yeah. See you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.